So we're here today on a nice Monday afternoon in Midtown Manhattan. The only reason on earth I'd be here is to talk to Mike Judge. We're outside a really fancy hotel, and we're going to go up to his hotel suite and quiz him about Beavis and Butthead, the new season of which premieres very soon, and all the other great stuff he's done.
Let me, oh, sorry. Can I go just dump this out and get in? Yeah. It's okay to drink coffee during the interview?
Well, hello, Mike Judge.
Hello.
I'm kind of a little weirded out meeting you because I think, as I'm sure people.
Because I'm weird.
Well, that's good. I like that part. It weirds me out because I think you informed most of my humor. Like when I was a kid, I told my dad, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm interviewing Mike Judge," and he's like, "Well, you should be pretty good at that because you're fucking Beavis and Butthead, basically incarnate." So I don't.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 29.
Yeah, that's about. You're in the.
Yeah.
I've been getting that a lot lately. People saying either I grew up on your stuff or I grew up being told not to watch it or whatever version of that. Yeah.
I saw the first episode of the new series, and while things all seem the same on the surface, it was interesting to see how some of the same observations and commentary applied to this new generation and pop culture now.
When I did the show, I was already old. I was obviously older than the characters. And even at the time, people would say, like I remember some people at MTV saying, that they got AC/DC and Metallica. Even at that time in '92, that was kind of an old reference. That was like, they were like, why, maybe it should be Nirvana and Pearl Jam or something, And, so it was already kind of unhip to begin with. Yeah, so I don't know, to me it's more like a state of mind than a cultural reference, except now I'm watching Jersey Shore and 16 and Pregnant, and what would they say about that?
And is this something you had in your mind that, oh, maybe one day we'll bring them back, or did MTV approach you, or how did that all go down?
Well, it started with MTV approaching me, and they'd bring it up every year or two, but this kind of came as a full court press, like, would you want to bring the show back? And came at a time when I was, King of the Hill's done. I'd just done a live action movie, and I didn't want to do that again anytime soon. And so I had written down ideas for a sequel and just ideas in general over the years. And I always felt like I wasn't quite done with it. I wouldn't have thought 14 years later I'd start doing it again, but it feels right for some reason. I don't know.
It seems like I think it's true, the most popular and long-running programs on television are animated programs.
Yeah.
And you started with Liquid Television, which when I was a kid, again, that was another thing that was like, what is this crazy shit? But this Beavis and Butthead came, like, did you have the whole idea for, this could be a show? Or did you just want a segment on Liquid TV?
I think at some point, I was just making these homemade cartoons, and I was thinking, like, oh, this could maybe be characters someone would want to take to another level and do something. So right when I'd started doing this and got film back from the labs and like, wow, I can really make a cartoon, suddenly I see this show that just comes on, Liquid Television. I'm like, you gotta be kidding, this is too good to be true. Wouldn't it be awesome if I could get something on there? And to me, like it was just an incredible dream come true to have Liquid Television run 4 of my shorts,
Yeah. Even with Liquid Television, maybe I'm remembering things incorrectly, but I just feel like with The Simpsons, with that, there was a lot of controversy surrounding this, like, oh my God, people are making, and it's not like our crumb adult cartoons, it's like they're making cartoons and animations that can be taken totally on their own merit as like good stories, and funny.
Yeah, animation, like, I was, because I came not too long after The Simpsons had started, but people just had it in their head that a cartoon is for kids, but yeah, it was right around that time, end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, was this thing happening of just, cartoons, animation. The idea that there was a cartoon with good stories and funny and great characters and relevant was just, kind of mind-boggling.
I've read some things you said that, if some interviews leading up to the premiere, which is very soon, that if things became too racy for them this time, then you'd just put them online or something like that, which I'm really happy to hear. Any occasions of that so far?
I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. There was something where it was one of these shows, like 16 and Pregnant or something, we had them talking on, and they were like, well, the producers of that show are unhappy with this or that, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm unhappy with you telling me I can't put it in there, and I'm a producer of this show, so
I'm gonna do what I
we'll
want.
just put it on YouTube.
Well, can Beavis say fire now? Is that okay?
Yes, Beavis can say fire.
That's very important
Yeah.
to me. I set a lot of things on fire because of Beavis. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to ask you just about Beavis and Butthead because as much as you love them, I'm sure you need a little break. You have a degree in physics.
Yeah, believe it or not.
Does that ever come in handy?
There was a time when it was after a test screening of Office Space when one of the Fox executives was trying to make a point about the statistics, when you do
I
physics,
see.
you learn thermodynamics, you learn statistics inside and out, or pretty well. So like I was able to just go, no, that's not what that number means. It's this and this and this, and like lectured them all on statistics, and after a Office Space screening, which didn't get a very high number.
It was a test screening?
Yeah, test screening, yeah. So, but it was some kind of data that he was trying to use to say that I should get rid of the gangster rap. They were fighting so hard to get me to take that out, and I went out on a limb and said, hey, okay, let's specifically ask a focus group at this next screening if you like it, and if they don't like it, I'll take it out. Is what I said. Which it was great because the woman was trying so hard to just pollute the thing. Like she goes, what do you think about the music? and they said, oh, it was great. Okay, but what about the gangster rap? And then there's, oh man, it was great. Okay, but maybe there was too much of it, like doing that, and they would not give her anything, and it was great because there was not one bit of negativity that came up with this focus group. Saved me.
Well, I think that story, a lot of people know your work, obviously, a lot of people know your movies, but it's, for whatever reason, it's always, I think a lot of people, this is why they admire you as a person, is, it's always been like somebody saying, no, you can't do that. And do you feel that sometimes? Do you feel like, I don't want to say, it's not an underdog situation, but
No,
it's always hindsight, it seems like, with
Yeah,
a lot
no,
of your stuff.
I know. I'd feel better if it was a huge hit out of the gate, but I grew up watching all this, lots of TV and not as much movies until later in life, but like, you just, I always would feel like entertainment people in New York or LA, and I always getting this feeling that they're just slightly out of touch with the way most of us think and feel, and just kind of, and when something does happen that's like you can relate to, or is, especially stuff that's about everyday life, you kind of just really appreciate it. So I mean, that's probably why I gravitate towards stuff like that's like King of the Hill or Office Space. That's more kind of everyday, normal people. But yeah, I guess my stuff does. Well, the movies have a delayed reaction thing going.
Well, I mean, there's certain reasons too, like with Idiocracy. That.
But Idiocracy, though, I mean, that was like really ditching a movie. I mean, they.
Yeah.
I think it was like maybe 11 theaters they put it in. We finished the movie, put it in the can, and it was over a year after that it came out. So by the time they got around to marketing, I was completely out of touch with them. I get a couple calls, and then what I think, they looked at it and they said, okay, let's look at Office Space as the business model. It made us a ton of money, but it was like 3 or 4 years later. And so let's look at that as a business model. Well, what did we do wrong there? We spent money on a release and trailers. Let's not do that this time.
Okay, one last but very important question. I've had a long-standing debate with one of my friends about the definition of chode. Because some people believe it's a taint.
But let me see. What are the?
Some people believe it's a taint. Some people believe it's a.
Oh, what it is?
Some people, dick that's fatter than it is long, and.
Oh well, okay. I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico. What I heard is it just means penis, yeah. But that it's short for chorizo. It came out of the Vatos saying like chode, short for which was sausage.
Sausage.
Yeah, so in Spanish. So That's how I heard it growing up as a chode, like, you know,
Chorizo.
the cholos were, yeah, chode.